Hey everybody, it's the Dynamite Show. Paul Fontaine, Jeff Hawkins here on the Fight Game Media YouTube channel. Checking in with you about 20 minutes later than we normally go, because AEW had a 37-minute overrun. Well, technically it was a 7-minute overrun because it was scheduled for 2.5 hours. I'm actually amazed they got it all in the time they had, but they didn't really have enough time. Oh, and also to everyone on the Fight Game Media free audio feed on Thursday morning, thank you as well.
I'm tired of this shit.
Of what shit? Oh, these overruns? Yeah, me too. Like, just give me a 2-hour show.
Tell me how long the show's gonna be so I can plan my life. That's all
right?
I want.
Right? Like, oh my god! Like last week when Curry had told us.
Hold on. I got more of a rant in me on this thing because they make it feel like, oh, we're doing something special for you and giving you more, and I'm just like, no, man. It's not a gift. You ain't doing me a favor, dude. This isn't like you being benevolent to the viewing audience, all right? F off, okay? I'm tired. I hate this stuff. We just went through 2 weeks of 4-hour shows, both of which with an overrun. You aren't giving me a gift. You're just hanging around a party too long. Stop it. There's your cut. There's your cut for the week, Chris.
You know what's funny is like I will say
Chris?
like
hold on, who was I referring to? Garrett. Paul,
yeah.
there you go.
The funny thing is, okay, we had these 4-hour shows the last 2 weeks, and I talked about this a little bit with Garrett on the takedown, but like as I was going through it, it was long, and then we did a show after, and it's long, and you know I'm not even finished wrapping up till like almost 1 a.m. my time. But then on Saturday, I didn't have to watch Collision because it had already aired. So in a way, it was kind of cool. We still have 2+ hours of Collision on Saturday.
Paul,
so
can I tell
really,
you a secret? Hold on, Paul. Can I tell you a secret?
What's that?
You don't have to watch Collision.
I know.
You don't do a show afterwards, and
true.
we don't talk about it.
I don't have to, but to be honest, I like wrestling, so I do watch it. Although
I like wrestling, I don't watch it.
I am going to be taking like 2 weeks off, and I may take 2 complete weeks off of wrestling. At this point, that's kind of what I'm planning to do. Because I don't know how I'll I could watch it on my computer, but I don't like watching wrestling on my computer. And we're gonna be in hotel rooms, and I don't want to make my wife watch.
Okay, you have a wife, which helps.
Yeah.
That helps. But I mean, like when I was in Wisconsin, it's like I watched all the wrestling because it was like 8:00 and it was on time there, and I didn't have to do podcasts. So it's like, well, there ain't nothing else to do.
But if you were in Vegas, you would be watching, right? Like I never watch when I go to Vegas. So and this we're doing a road trip.
You shouldn't even be staying in your room if you're in Vegas, unless you're sleeping. And even then, you probably shouldn't even be staying in your room. You should.
No. We're doing a road trip we're hoping to get to Victoria from here. So that's the goal. And I may even jump across to Seattle and say hi to some friends I got there. So that's like that'll be like, you know, a full week to get there and then a full week to get back, you know, is kind of the idea. So that doesn't really leave a lot of time to watch wrestling. So I'm looking forward to that break. But so we had this show tonight from Arena, Mexico. And I had our buddy, Adine, is at the show. Now, I imagine we might have some other listeners at the show too, but he flew down yesterday. He got a ticket for the Tuesday show. The Wednesday show, like he couldn't buy a ticket online. It kept telling him it was sold out. But then when he got down there, he was able to get a ticket at the box office. So he bought tickets for both shows for a total of $45, I believe is what he said. $37.50. It was $30 for one night, which was tonight, and $7.50 for last night. And he had a great time. Loved the show, loved the atmosphere, everything. That's kind of on my bucket list. Like I would love to go see one of these shows live. And I was really looking forward to seeing this show on TV and to see how it would come across.
I thought the crowd was great.
They were awesome. I wish AEW had done a little bit more anything actually,
Anything.
of showing the atmosphere, you know, like maybe showing the guys out doing stuff in Mexico, showing them interacting with fans, even done some shots of the arena. You know what the funny thing is? The arena was like 90% full. There was barely any seats in the upper deck, but the way they shot it, the upper decks were all blanked out and it looked like they were hiding that they had empty seats. But that wasn't the case at all. Like from talking to someone in the building, almost all the seats were full, which is really weird. Right? Like, or did you?
I guess. I mean, it depends on what you thought the point of the show was. Like, the point wasn't to market Arena Mexico as a destination for AEW.
Okay.
It's to pop Dave. I mean, it really is in some ways. But
well, it was to get a lot of his guys on to be able to say they work there.
Oh, yes. Okay, cool. But I bet you there's a text on his phone right now that says, "What did you think of the matches?" And and you know, and that's the thing. It's like you could have used this for global expansion in some ways, and you could have, you know, even made a heavier. No, hold on. Let me finish my point here.
Sure.
Now, right. I'm not saying that there wasn't some good out of this. Don't get me wrong. And you know, it could have been a little more. Hey, you know what? Maybe you'd like to subscribe to CMLL's. They're the ones working with CMLL, right? I'm right about this, but I screwed it up last week. And
why would AEW do that?
Why not? I mean, it's one of those things like these are our guests. Are we their guests? No, that's fine. I'm good with that. I don't know. I don't.
Okay.
The point of this. The point of this is this was a show that existed to exist for the most part for me. So it's like one of those things where I'm, you know,
we'll talk about this when we get to the women's section. I don't want to do it out of order, but I will say this, and I will talk about this.
To quote Animal House, we have a long history of existence, and that's what this show was. To me, I mean, it was matches, and it's like, well, that's great. It's not really building to All In. It kind of did, and it kind of didn't.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the problem, right? Because they're in Mexico, and we don't know how the fans there are they following AEW storylines. So you have two masters to serve. You've got the live crowd, but you've also got the people watching on TV. You know what? Everybody wants to talk about this, so I'll just bring it up now. Whatever. We'll get into the show in a minute. So, and LaRon asked a question, which also brings up things that other people are talking about. LaRon says, AEW finally found a partner who values women's wrestling even less than they do. That's debatable. Actually, that's a loaded question. That's a loaded.
How is the only
women's match on the card also the shortest match?
Well, because that's Tony's predilections for the most part. That's true. As the crowd.
Did you see the match? Did you want that match to be longer?
No, you know what? I thought that match was better than their first one, though. So
I don't remember their first one. If it was me, I would have just skipped to the angle. The angle was great.
Yeah, but I just think this I mean, is the Arena Mexico crowd wanting more women's wrestling?
I don't know. I hear that when they do their like women's nights, like the crowds are like in half. I don't.
I mean, let me ask this, and I'm not asking this to piss anybody off who does not like her.
Yeah.
How did this crowd respond to say Tessa Blanchard as champion?
Was it here or was it AAA? I don't remember.
I don't know. I'm dumb on these things.
Okay. And then
if I'm wrong, I'm the ugly American, and I'm fine with that. I don't care. It's like one of those things where it's like I think they're just kind of playing to what Tony thinks their strengths are and what Tony likes. And I don't think Tony does women's wrestling for the most part just to have something on there and to keep the people at bay for the most part. But I don't think it was an important thing to this. It was to get certain people who have never wrestled at Arena Mexico, or certain people that he wanted certain people to see wrestling at Arena Mexico on the show. So
to be fair, they did tape a match before the show. And my Dean had messaged me about it, and I'm trying to do it from memory. I know one of the teams was Thunder Rosa and Persephone.
Okay.
And then I can't remember who their opponents were, but
probably
he said,
Diamante in some way.
No. It was bigger name than that. But he said that that Thunder Rosa was very over.
Yeah.
So I think if they would have done like a trios match involving women, that might have gotten
on the Collision. If she got a big reaction on the pre-show, she's going to be on the Collision taping. Yeah. I guarantee it.
No, their Collision's live in Portland.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind.
So no, they're doing Ring of Honor stuff. But so I think like a trios match involving the women would have gotten over more. But my guess is CMLL probably wanted Mercedes to win their title. And so they can get her back for more dates, which I'm sure she's fine with that too, because works for her gimmick of collecting belts. So, and then a follow-up to this about the women's division is Plethora asks, will there be a second women's match in All In that's not a hastily thrown together gauntlet match? Well, I don't think so, because if there was, we'd know about it already. Maybe Willow and Stat. Yeah,
I bet you they have a women's battle royal on the pre-show.
They could do a casino gauntlet. They could do a casino gauntlet, and
to set up the next person to fight for the title. It's probably gonna be won by Athena. How about that?
Maybe. I mean, she was complaining this week about not being on the All In card.
She was
complaining isn't the right word. She was disappointed that she's not.
Yes, on the card. And she should be, because she was all over the marketing when they announced it.
You know who was on the marketing for tonight's show? Front and pay at French and Center on the poster. Kenny Omega. And people were chanting for him after the Okada match. They wanted him to come out, I guess, to save Briscoe. Forgetting that he was murdered last week, I guess. That looked pretty rough. I don't know if he's going to be cleared in time for All In. He was spitting up blood. That's pretty serious. Or blood capsules, anyway. So I love the atmosphere. The crowd was incredible. I would love to see a show there one day. That's kind of what it came away from there. And they did some build for All In. At best, I mean, a stat or kind of I think we kind of held serve. We didn't really advance anything, but we kind of just reminded people, okay, these are our programs. So I think they got to do a lot on Saturday, although I don't know who's going to be watching on Saturday. And then next week, I mean, I think that next week, what is that, the 25th? So there's two more Dynamites after that, 3 more Dynamites until All In.
Okay, so before we go into it, I was trying to think of something, and I don't know. See, I am not sure of my idea here, because I think AEW does these things poorly.
Okay.
What if we had just marketed this as, and here comes my comic book geekery back to haunt me, like something like an Elseworlds show?
I don't know.
Where it's like it's not part of actual continuity in AEW.
Oh, okay. So yeah, like TV shows do this all the time. Like where Sopranos had a famous one.
The dream sequence show. Yes, we're in
The Rookie does this. They have like one episode a season where it's just completely separated from storylines.
Okay, but put Greg's message on here, because it didn't feel like special event. It felt like card.
I think it depends on your perspective, because I have seen a lot of feedback that I thought it was like a special event.
Okay, I wanted more special. The problem is AEW does too many special events. Fight for the Fallen, Fighter Fest, Shark Week, Summer Break, Do
you think Grand
Zoom
Slam
Schwartz Perfigliano, whatever we want to call it,
Do you think Grand Slam has enough cachet that when people see that name, they know it's something special now? Between Arthur Ashe and Australia. Australia is one of the best shows they've ever done, in my opinion.
But wasn't this like an Arena Mexico Grand Slam, or didn't they call it something like that?
It was, Grand Slam Dynamite.
No, it's just words.
Okay. Because I'm seeing people that are calling this the best show of the year, even better than Australia. I disagree with that, but I'm seeing a lot of people saying it.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah. And so, I mean, I thought Australia was way better. I thought the matches were better. I thought the crowd was better. I thought it felt like a bigger event. But this, I mean, a lot of people, there's one thing on here that I love more than just about anything I saw on AEW television all year, and we'll talk about it. But
all right.
Yeah. So I want to start with this show, and I want to know what your thought was about the opening promo. So we got Hangman came out for his opening promo, and he does his promo in Spanish. And I thought his Spanish, like, I mean, I don't understand Spanish at all. So it sounded like he was speaking pretty good Spanish to me. Like, but problem is I didn't understand anything he was saying. They didn't put up subtitles. Excalibur was half-assed trying to translate, but you couldn't hear him because Hangman was still talking. He wasn't waiting for Hangman to finish to tell us what he had just said. And I gotta assume that clearly the promo was written ahead of time and Hangman memorized it in Spanish, which is hella impressive. But they could have put subtitles on the screen, I thought, and that would have made me enjoy it more. That said, in the building, and I don't know how this came off on TV, but again, talking to somebody that was there, this place went unglued for his promo. And so in that sense, it worked for the live crowd. But I don't know how well it translated for the TV audience. And I'm going to translate the promo because I have it here. But what did you think? Did you agree with what I'm saying, or am I off base, or what?
I don't think you're off base. I think it's a no-win situation. And they painted them. I don't know. See, I don't speak a lick of Spanish. I live in Los Angeles.
Okay.
It's weird. I know certain swear words and certain things you shouldn't call people to keep me safe. I get this.
Vato loco.
Pendejo.
Pero.
And I know certain cultural things that there's a certain hierarchy of Hispanics that you don't call somebody from certain countries. I learned that in the theme park business for some reason. But back to the point. If Hangman sounded like he knew Spanish to natural speaking Spanish speakers, I'm fine with it because that was the audience in the arena. Mm-hmm. And you'd want them to thing. Now, again, it's a television show. I would have put a English button on it. He says all these things and then he just turns to a camera and goes, Moxley, I'm going to F you up at All In or whatever, and then end it that way. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, the crowd reacts, and that's a good thing because it makes me think, okay, this was a heated promo. I think you could have had the best of both worlds here, and I don't think they did. I don't think they quite stuck the landing. Let's put it that way.
Well, there was a key part of the story that I don't think Excalibur got through very well.
Well, okay, if
and that was in the promo, and I'll read it off.
Okay. Me not knowing that, then it's one of those. If you're gonna do a key plot point, you got to do it for the TV audience. You can't do it just for the people in the.
And crowd. I think he did, but it didn't come through. Yeah.
Okay, so now you're promo. Now you're changing my mind on the promo though. So
here's the promo. Hi, my name is Hangman, and I want to apologize for my Spanish because it's not the best, but it's a little better than most gringos, so I'll try. When I was young, my family had a tobacco farm, and every summer, like 6 men would come from Ruiz, Nayarit to work, and he said their names. Every year I worked with them, and they taught me about Mexico. They're hard workers, honest, and cared for their families. They taught me that we're all better when we work together. This is why I want to say thank you. Thank you for having us in your home tonight. Thanks for this collaboration between AEW and CMLL, because when we work together, we can change the world. This is awesome, by the way. Now I will talk about our champion, Jon Moxley. I'm sorry to say that I don't have a match tonight, and I'm not allowed to be in the arena during his match. He said this, but we didn't know this. The people in the arena knew it, but us as television viewers didn't know it.
Okay, well, then that's the fault of the pre-production meeting that they supposedly have.
They needed
where you have to look. I was having a meeting with somebody, or I was having a chat with somebody from the company today.
Okay.
And it's one of those things about, who controls, creative, how the creative process goes versus, agenting, because in WWE, they kind of have a wall between the creative staff and the people who agent the meetings or the agent the matches. It's one of those things, but you still need whoever's doing the storytelling still needs to go to that agent
Mm-hmm.
in either company and say, this is the plot points I want in the thing. And that's kind of what needed to happen here. Somebody needed to go, Excalibur, even if you don't get the rest of this promo,
Mm-hmm.
the thing you have to say is that he can't be in the arena for the match tonight.
Right.
It's a lot like when I ask you what was the point of this show. And then you break it down to each individual segment. What was the point of this segment? Why am I watching this segment right now? What is the point they're trying to get across? Now, see, the more you talk about this, the more I think this wasn't a success. And it gets into that deconstruction brain of mine where I'm deconstructing in my head as we go. But it's like one of those things where it's like, if the point is that Hangman coming back to make the save is a big shock because he's been banned from the arena for the match.
But he
gotta
said,
hammer that.
God. And he ended with saying nobody said anything after the match. So after the match, I'm going to beat his ass. So everyone's waiting for this.
Okay,
except for us, we didn't know.
And that needs to be that needs to be the button that I said. The
they needed to do a cutaway to the announcers and say, for those of you that don't understand Spanish, here's a quick summary of what Hangman said.
Or Hangman just goes, what I just said is I can't be in the arena for the match tonight.
Yeah,
but I'll be here after that match.
Yeah, because John Moxley, I don't think you understand what I just said, or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. So that happened, and then we got this. So it was originally advertised as a 12-man tag, and I got to tell you, there's not a person on earth that probably noticed that they changed it to a 14-man tag or knew what changes they made. And I'll go over the teams in a second, but what I think the only thing notable to say about this match was, we spent, I want to say, like a month building up a match between FTR against Atlantis and Atlantis Jr. Mm-hmm. Right?
Take your victory lap, sir. Go forward.
FTR was doing all these promos on Atlantis, and you're old, you're decrepit, you're a 62-year-old man, blah, blah, blah. Your son's worthless, blah, 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 blah. And we're waiting, and we're going to have this match, this tag team match where the heroes, Atlantis and Atlantis Jr., are going to defend the honor of luchadors against these dastardly FTRs. Other than MJF Mistico, this is the match I was most looking forward to. Except all along the way, it never even occurred to me that, you know what, they never actually announced this match. And then I mentioned to someone in this Discord, it's like, no, everyone just assumed that match was happening, but it's not. They're actually part of this 12-man tag. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Okay. So then yesterday, I'm getting these texts from Adine, who's at the show, and they had a match between Atlantis Jr. and Josh Alexander, right? Atlantis Jr., Josh Alexander, heel, right? He's a heel? He's part of Don Callis' family. He's a heel, right? Okay. Atlantis Jr., he's a babyface, right?
In AEW, yes.
Okay. Well, not in Arena Mexico.
Exactly.
In Arena Mexico, this guy is a rudo. Apparently, the fans really resent the fact that he's been pushed as a superstar because they don't feel he's earned it. They don't feel he's good enough. And I guess they don't like his dad either. And so they have this 14-man tag. The teams are, here's the baby faces: Adam Cole, Daniel Garcia, Brody King, Templario, Bandito, and apparently Atlantis and Atlantis Jr.
Sure.
Versus Kyle Fletcher, Konosuke Takeshita, Josh Alexander, Lance Archer, Volador Jr., Hechicero, and Dax Harwood. There was apparently also, they spent a month building up this match between FTR and the Atlantises, but Cash Wheeler can't get into Mexico. So
yes, because of the gun charge, I bet.
I don't know. He went to England after the gun charge, so I don't know. But I think
maybe things are different. I don't know.
Yeah. So
actually, I don't think you can get into Canada. So I don't know.
Yeah, Volador Jr. was the substitute for Cash Wheeler. So, and then Stokely did a promo at the beginning where he healed on Mexico, and he said, "I've been practicing this my Spanish all day, grassy ass." That was funny. So they have this match, and everything's going along just fine. It's a party match, and then all of a sudden, one of the Atlantis tags in, and boo. And whoever they were in the ring against had been a heel to that point. Now they're the biggest babyface in Mexico. And it was just so surreal because Kyle Fletcher, he's beating on one of the baby faces, and they're booing him. And then you tag into like Atlantis Jr., and all of a sudden Kyle Fletcher's a baby face.
I'm
so
watching
weird.
I'm watching this match, and I'm going, this is why proper planning helps.
Yeah.
Because not to spoil it, but this match had the most for what. And if you watched last week's television, it was perfect. But for Arena Mexico, it's the most bat guano crazy ending you can have for a match.
Yeah, it was just wild. And it just kept going. And I mean, it was fun. I mean, I liked the match. I mean, it was weird. And I mean, I've seen better party matches. Brody King, they didn't seem to know him, but he kind of got over. And then eventually it ended up with Dax Harwood against Atlantis. So this is what they've been building to. Dax against the 62-year-old decrepit old man.
Yes.
And they cheered Dax and they booed Atlantis.
Woo!
And then Atlantis beat him with an inside cradle. So, like, I think they got to do a rematch. But they're probably going to bring it back to AEW television, and Atlantis will be the baby faces, and
again,
FTR will be the heels.
This is why we need an alternate reality show so that we can go out there and say, okay, guys, tonight the Atlantis is. That's how you refer to them.
They're baby faces tonight.
You need to cheer them. You know what they need to do? They need to do an angle before the match to say, somehow, just for tonight.
I don't think it would have worked. I know. They hated these guys. I don't know why. And they were fine with everybody else. Like, even the people they didn't know, they were fine with cheering. And like, even the guys on the heel team, like, they became baby faces as soon as they were in there against these Atlantises. It was something else. But other than that, like, I mean, it was fun. It was a fine opener and got the crowd into it and everything. So but yeah, it was and I mean, if the Atlantises were baby faces, this would have been so great. Like old man Atlantis beating Dax. It's perfect. It's great. But this was so weird. And they're booing, and Dax they're cheering Dax, and he's like trying to get them to boo, but every time he tried to get them to boo, they just cheered louder. And Stoke was doing the same thing. And I don't think like Tony, does he not follow Mexican wrestling and doesn't know the storylines, or I don't know.
Tony Khan?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. See, and I thought he would, but maybe he doesn't have time.
I think yes.
Okay. He probably just assumed that, hey, he's a legend. He's a Hall of Famer. They're going to cheer him.
Why would you have a 64-year-old legendary heel in Mexico if
they're
64? They've done their time, so they should be beloved.
And he put the title on Atlantis Jr. Like, he gave him the ROH TV title a year or two ago.
Or it's one of those things where it's like, who can I use? I'll give you the Atlantises. Oh, yeah. How are they? They're good. Oh, okay. Well, then I'll push them as baby faces.
Well, somebody, like, when they were doing this whole build, and I said, oh, it looks like they're building to FTR against the Atlantises, and that'll be fun. And then somebody said, oh, no, it'll probably be Blue Panther and his son. I was like, well, that doesn't make sense. I mean, they got like Atlantis on the TV, and this guy probably follows CMLL and was thinking like, well, they can't do it with Atlantis because they'll be booed. And I mean, well, I'm just watching AEW television, oblivious to everything. So, yeah, it was weird. And we got a promo from Mark Briscoe and just talking about how he's defending Kenny Omega's honor, and that's why he challenged Okada. And this match was weird because it was announced last week, and I don't know, like, I just felt like this match was put on the show so that Okada and Briscoe could say they wrestled at Arena Mexico. But I mean, compared to the match before, like, this match had almost no heat. They reacted to the Okada's entrance, and I think they got into Briscoe because he's awesome. But it was like, other than the women's match, it might probably had the least heat on the show, I would think. Would you agree?
What match are we talking about?
Okada and Briscoe.
Oh yeah, because nobody had a real rooting interest in this.
Right.
Match.
Yeah, like, they didn't know Briscoe, and they know Okada's a legend, but I don't think they really care about him all that much. And And the match was fine. I mean, Briscoe was working his ass off, and Okada was Okada, TV Okada, 50%. And they had their match, and then Okada hit a tombstone and a rainmaker and got the win. And that was that. Then he attacked Briscoe after the match, and people chanted for Omega, but he never came out. And and he was just a heel, and that was it. So it was there. This would have been much better served as like the main event on like next week's show. I think. Yeah, I don't think this needed to be on the show at all. But
this was a tactical error in some ways to me. It was, hey, we're gonna show these people what a banger in AEW looks like, and it's like, okay, these people don't watch AEW. I don't think, for the most part, I think they watch CMLL.
Okada doesn't do bangers on TV either. That's another problem.
Correct.
Yeah.
Hey, remember when Okada was here in Mexico? I think that was kind of.
Well, they talked about that because he was a young boy there, right? Like on his excursion. Yeah. So
yes, but I don't think anybody in that crowd gives a damn about that. But the message board guy in Gorilla did.
Well, no, and I think they knew Okada, like they know who he is.
No, I didn't say they didn't know who he was. I'm just saying,
but they don't really care about him.
Correct. Yeah, I think maybe if Don Callis comes out, cuts a promo on the crowd, we get a little bit more heat for this match.
Yeah, and Briscoe, I think some of them I'm sure knew who he was, but it was pretty clear, but from the reaction that he was not that well known to most of the crowd. But as the match went on, like they got into it because he's awesome. But I don't think anybody also didn't think he was going to win, so that didn't help. Like he would get it. He got, I mean, it was fine. The match was good. Like it was a good match, but I just think it was kind of out of place on this show. That's all. And the thing is, like Okada, like he just keeps challenging these big stars and losing all the time, and that to me is weird too. So I don't know, because he just lost to Moxley, right? He got choked out and disappointed his kid. And now he disappointed his friend Kenny.
Tony doesn't see Mark Briscoe the same way we see Mark Briscoe.
Yeah,
he's a mascot for the company. To him, he's not a guy to put the big belt on. And if you don't have the big belt, then
like a Mick Foley.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a pretty good, 1-to-1. How McMahon looked at Foley, I think, yeah.
If Tony changed his title as much as Vince did back in the day, he probably would have had a belt, but Tony protects the title a little more than that.
And it's one of those things where I think it's more of no, I don't want to, and this isn't in a mean way, but I feel really bad about Jay and the fact that we couldn't get you guys on as a tag team on this show.
Yeah, because imagine Briscoe's and FTR. Like, I think they would have brought that match to this building if in a perfect world where Jay's still with us. Like, that match would have been on this show. And I think those fans would have realized, hey, this is a special match. You know what I mean? Like, even though they don't necessarily follow AEW and that, it's legendary enough that people would know it. So, yeah. I didn't even think about that, but that's kind of true.
But no, he's great. And he cuts great promos. And God knows, I mean, one of my friends sent me another Mark Briscoe does the weather on a local TV show. Should be sending him out to do media. He's so phenomenal doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's awesome. Then we got the best thing on the show, in my opinion, and one of the best things on AEW television all year, and not just AEW. Like this was so freaking good. And it was MJF against Mistico. Now, MJF comes out and he's draped in the American flag, and he's got American flag theme tights, and he's getting booed, and MJF's just working the crowd like he should. And Mistico comes out, and they played his music. I've never heard the music before. I don't think they use it in AEW when he's come to AEW. And these fans, they know his music, and they were singing it. It was like, they used to do for Jericho with Judas, or Cody with the American Nightmare song, or whatever that song's called, and Randy Orton, except 10 times this, and with passion, like they're singing the national anthem or something. This entrance was freaking incredible. And you know me, I don't watch entrances, but I knew this was going to be special, so I watched it. It was
when the crowd responded to this music, and I'm listening to it, I'm going, sounds like some 80s pop rock type thing. I'm like, but
it's
this
like
crowd
a
is
Mexican love song or something, apparently.
yeah, but this crowd was eating it up, and I was kind of sitting there gobsmacked to watch the spectacle of it. I actually possibly would have liked more spectacle on this, to be honest with you.
And so he comes out, and at that moment, he's like the biggest star in the world, like the biggest star in wrestling. Like you see him come out, and then they do this match. And MJF is bumping his ass off for this guy, and he is making him look like $1 million. And Mystico's good anyways. And there were times like he did a dive off the ring apron. Mystico does the moves that a lot of these guys do, but he does them in moderation, and he does them at the right time so that he can do like 1/5 of what a commander does, but get 10 times the reaction. Like he's just so beloved, and MJF was such a heel and cheating at the right times and being cocky at the right times. And then there was this spot. It was so freaking brilliant. MJF tries to run away. Mystico follows him up the ramp. Mystico goes to hit him with a destroyer. MJF reverses it. I think he gave him a pile driver on the apron. Yeah, on the ramp.
On the stage. On
the stage. He rushes back to the ring. He wants this count out win. So he wants his count out. And the ref is 1, 2, 3. He gets to Senkos. Mystico sits up.
Like the Undertaker.
Building erupted. Like,
yes, I was kind of amazed by.
Oh my God, was this brilliant?
I'm like, that's how you know you're over like Rover, man. He just pops up and oh my God, it's like,
and I'm watching this and I'm like, my only comment was, this shit is so easy when it's done right. like
yeah, it's one of those things where you're watching this and you're going, because I was thinking, okay, here comes the contrived, American, gets in, between 9 and 10 as Bryce holds up the count, so we get the struggle.
Like Becky and Lyra.
He's in there at 8, and you're like, and it's just, and he's like a superhero, and you're just like watching, kind of going, all right, they have certain things that they really, really like, and it was cool. It was cool.
It was so cool. And then so he comes back to the ring, and and they wrestle a little while longer, and then eventually MJF, he spat in his face, and then he poked him in the eye, but Mystico hit him with a destroyer.
Hold on. We need to stop there.
Okay.
Because this is where commentary was not prepared in a good way.
Yeah.
What good does that do?
Yeah. With the mask guy. Yeah. It's like when they talk about giving a woman a low blow.
I'm watching this and I'm fascinated that somebody's not screaming in somebody's headset about that, because they don't do that there. But at the very least, it's like don't point that out. Yeah. Don't weaken the spot because it's getting heat, guys. Just don't. Maybe it's like, I mean, at least Nigel should come in. Nigel knows enough to go, well, maybe he was chewing tobacco and he's getting, whatever, man. Just
by the way, you just mentioned something that I hadn't brought up. The commentary team tonight was Excalibur and Nigel, and with Tony as just like the third guy as a fan. This needs to be their regular team every week. This was the best AEW announcing.
Tony Schiavone doesn't get enough props because wrestling people like Ian Riccoboni. I don't, but wrestling people do. But Tony, when Tony's excited about watching something, he is the best on that booth.
Right. Like he's better as the third guy that just comments how wonderful everything is, as opposed to being the play-by-play guy.
Yes. No, when he's doing David Crockett.
Right. Yeah.
From that era, which is totally ironic.
Or even, you know what he's doing? It's kind of like Pat McAfee too.
A little bit. No,
Yeah.
yes, he is the voice of the fan, and it's
Yeah.
one of those things where this is what he was doing early when they hired him.
Yes.
And
I've
the
been
problem,
watching that. I've been going
yes,
back and
no,
watching that stuff.
and the problem is, then they started doing angles with Tony on commentary, and you just start banging your head on the, no, this is not what he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be the guy past his prime who was a big deal when wrestling was more of a big deal, and he's really excited about this new stuff, and that's supposed to transfer over to you, especially if you're the type of person who knew Tony Schiavone in his heyday. And God, he was so good tonight. I really enjoyed it.
And Nigel and Excalibur work so great together. So I just wanted to bring that up. So anyways, after MJF pokes him in the eye, Mystico hit him with a destroyer. And then after he flipped over, MJF landed in the right position he just said, fuck this, and nailed Mystico in the balls.
And you know what? It worked. It did, because it's like he hits him that first time with the fist, and it's kind of like, okay, is he gonna get the roll up? Whatever.
Yeah.
And it was really, you know what made this magic was actually that kind of weird pause in there where he just kind of waits for a few seconds and is just kind of looking at him. And then he kicks him in the balls. And then
right in front of the ref, and the ref immediately DQs him. Like it was, and the crowd booed, but it wasn't like they were booing the company. They were booing MJF. Like this was like this dastardly heel that cheated, and he's DQ'd, and we wanted to see our guy win, and he won, but he didn't win, and it was so awesome. And and that was great. So then afterwards, MJF, shoves the ref down, and then Lashley and Benjamin were there at ringside, and they come in and they all join in on beating down Mystico. MJF pulls Mystico's mask off, puts it on himself, and at that moment, I'm thinking, God, MJF and Chad Gable as a tag team would be the best thing in the history of wrestling.
Maybe, but I had a problem with this because, again, commentary kind of failed here.
A little bit.
And commentary failed, and then AEW booking and planning failed, because if you're gonna put over that this is the worst thing and worst insult for a luchador, then every single luchador should have been running to prevent this.
Well, we did get 3.
No, we got the save. Hold on. We got the save after the beatdown. And what this should have been was scaring off. The moment MJF did the motion, everybody hits the ring. And it's a thing of urgency, as opposed to, now we're going to set up Speedball and Kevin.
Well, I like that, though, because they took the heat from this match and they transferred it over, because this match in AEW storylines, it's kind of like what you were saying earlier. It's separated. Like, as soon as this show is over, we're done with MJF and Mystico, right? But
then why take his mask right now? That's the thing.
Well, because they're probably going to do a rematch at Forbidden Door, would be my guess.
All right. Well, okay.
Yeah. But they transferred the heat from that over to Airspeed, because they come in. And so what happened was the 3 luchadors, it was Bandito, Templar, not Atlantis, Bandito, Templario, and
Titan. Go out there and make the no. I want this now. No, I want Tony to go, look. All right, that last segment you were in didn't go very well. Go out there and make the save on this one.
They'll cheer you this time. I guarantee it. Yeah, no. So it was Titan, who hasn't been on the show and wasn't scheduled to be on the show. He was there. Somebody wanted me to count all the people on this show, and I lost count at like 45.
Okay, but let me make the argument to you here, because it's kind of it's stuck in my mind for a bit. In that AEW kind of had a chance here, and they kind of did and they kind of didn't. But I've been saying for a long time, we need to figure out a way to make luchadors strong so that American audiences don't go, oh, guys in Max are here, they're geeks. And I think MJF just so simply being able to take the mask off without a struggle kind of made him a geek.
Yeah, but I mean, he'd just been beaten down by 3 guys, so at least he had that. But Speedball and Bailey, so Lashley and Benjamin are distracted by the 3 luchadors, and then Kevin Knight and Speedball get up on the ring posts and do a double drop kick from behind and nail all 3 of them, Lashley, Benjamin, and MJF, and they took off. And apparently Mike Bailey was wearing shoes, and that's big news because I didn't notice, but somebody pointed out.
He was able to buy those from his big money match.
Yeah, he won $100,000 a few months ago. So, spoiler alert, we're gonna find out what hologram.
Oh, and here they come. Oh, look at the long-term storytelling of AEW.
Yeah, he bought shoes and he used them. So I guess this was storyline advancement for All In, because I assume we're gonna get a squash match. A tag team title match between Jet Speed and the Hurt Syndicate at All In. Mm-hmm. I mistakenly said squash match because I was just thinking about squashes, but
I knew what you meant.
Yeah, no, I meant it'll be a competitive title match.
Kevin Knight will be competitive.
Yeah,
Speedball's totally taking the fall.
Speedboat's taking the fall, as John Lorca calls him. Yeah, I find myself calling him Speedboat all the time. So next up, they announced this last week, and I thought it was a joke that people were telling, and then I realized no, it's actually in the graphic. So it was a 4-way for 4 million pesos, which I can't remember. They said was it 52,000 or something is what it translates to?
No, it was over it was a little bit over $200,000.
How much is 4 million?
They said it a few times, and then Nigel asked Tony what he would do with it.
$287,900 Canadian for winning a match with these 4. Holy shit!
Well, Canadian. In American, it was a little over 200,000.
200,000. But
and they asked Tony Schiavone, what would you do with that money? I don't know. Buy baseball cards. It's like, you geek. This is not the time for that. You got to go.
Like, how much? Like, who do you think the highest paid guy in this match was? Probably Ricochet, right? Ricochet's probably making.
Hold on. Remind me who the 4 in the match are. We have
Ricochet, Leo Rush, Mascara Dorada, and Hologram.
Oh yeah, Ricochet's making more than the other 3 combined.
There's no way those other 3, any of them, make $200,000 in a year.
Those other 3 would be able to get out of the 1040 easy filing for a tax. Probably this is more money than, I won't say it's more. Well, Leo Rush actually has some like investments and he was doing like put out an album and stuff, so he had some money, or he had the Fed money for a while. So,
but he's not making much.
Actually, I'm gonna go this way. I think Ricochet makes double those other 3 combined. At least,
like I think Ricochet's probably
got overpaid to come to AEW.
I would say he's probably making about $750. Leo.
Oh no, I think. Well, okay, yeah.
Leo probably. Leo maybe 150. Hologram
he's lucky
125, and Dorada, he's on a per date deal. So yeah,
yeah.
So long story short, and then we'll talk about the match. Hologram won. I think he's 26-0 now in AEW, and never had a title shot, never will get a title shot, but he's got $200,000. So good for him. He could probably find Harley Graham and take her out.
Well, I don't know what RJ City would say about that, but they were. I don't know if they are still. Never mind. I shouldn't be saying that.
I honestly thought he played for the other team, so I don't know. I thought
I don't know that for certain.
Okay.
I'm not reporting news. Don't say anything. I don't know anything. You know what though? We might be building up Hologram streak to make that a title.
Yeah, I mean, there could be worse. Fernando loves Hologram. He says he's amazing.
I think he's good.
I thought Leo Rush stood out in this match, honestly.
I love Leo Rush.
Yeah.
I think that kid, and it's hard to call him a kid because he's getting older now.
Yeah, he's younger than you'd think. I still think he's in his 20s.
Oh, is he? Okay.
I think so. I could be wrong.
He can talk. He can get heat. He can fly. I love
30.
his offense.
He's 30. So
that dude should have been pushed harder in WWE when he was there, and they just used him in that thing. And quite frankly, when I saw that he was kind of a victim of the Hurt Syndicate, I kind of retched, because I think that dude, if you hadn't have done that, would be the perfect runs his mouth and hides behind the big guys type thing for this, as opposed to MJF right now, who is mostly in there because he is Caucasian.
Yeah, and they just and plus I think him and MVP are boys. Like they go back.
That's fine, but man, Leo Rush is fantastic, and I love his vibe, and I hate this team with him and Andretti, and I hate those jackets. But I guess that's for heat.
Well, he didn't wear it tonight, right? I don't think.
Yeah, I'm waiting for someone to realize how talented that dude is, and I don't think they're going to.
Well, he was great here tonight, but the finish here was kind of awkward because what was happening was Ricochet was like tied up in the ropes. He was trying. Roos tried to get a Hurricanrana, but Ricochet held on, and then Hologram broke it up, and he dodged a bounce back stunner by I think it was Leo. And then he hit the portal bomb, which is his finisher, and got the win. But he like took a while to hit his finisher, and like Ricochet was just kind of standing there, and it kind of looked like he could have broken it up, but he was trying to act like he was stuck in the ropes. And it just looked kind of awkward.
It's one of those things where they're going for a clever ending, and things just didn't agree with the cleverness.
The problem is, I think they should have kept the camera away from Ricochet. Like that he's not, to show that he's tied up, and then cut away so that
they had a couple of those issues tonight, like the Bandito dive that they missed.
Yeah.
By the way, let me say that while I'm here, Bandito in that white suit in Arena Mexico, $1 million.
Oh yeah, and Lashley too. Lashley was in a sweet white suit.
I actually thought the guy that looked smooth was Shelton. Looked.
Well, his was kind of. What was it, like silver, eh? His suit?
It was like I thought it was like green, but it didn't matter. He kind of like had the glasses. It was obviously hot in that arena.
The glasses
so had it. So
was it hot? I thought it was cold when I saw Marina come out. Jeff knows what I'm talking about.
At Paul Ace Fontaine. Continue. Dig yourself out of the hole. Let's go.
No, I was gonna send you a picture of Marina. I won't. I'll do it later.
I'm not interested.
All right. Yeah, it was cold. No, actually, talking to Dean, he said it was kind of cold in there. Most of the people were wearing jackets. Yeah, it was
okay. So they have the air conditioning cranked.
No, it wasn't that warm outside.
Oh, is it the elevation then?
I don't know, but he said like it's such an old building that it almost feels like you're outside. And he says about 61.
It's 93 in here, and I'm sweating bullets. So
he said it was 61 outside the building, and it felt about the same in the building. So
all right,
what 61 is like 15, I think, maybe a little less than that. So yeah, that's evening weather in Winnipeg. That's you're not getting that cold until September in LA, maybe in the evenings. Yeah. So anyways, hologram.
Harley. You wanted to say Harleygram so bad.
I did want to say Harleygram. Hologram won, and he wins the $200,000, and so he can go buy some flowers for Harley. So we went from the best thing on the show a couple matches ago to what was easily the worst match on the show. Zeuxis versus Mercedes Mone. God bless Zeuxis, but this didn't do it for me. I'm sorry. We talked a little bit about the women's division earlier. I don't know what to say. Like, I just didn't really like this match much. Zeuxis just didn't seem to be in the same. You talk about people not being on the same page. These guys didn't even look like they were in the same book. And
I get you.
Yeah, and Mercedes tried.
I think there were communication issues.
Yeah, and I think it feels like their time might have got cut too, because everything was a little rushed at the beginning. Like their entrance was rushed, and the intros and everything. This was a CMLL World Title match as well, with like basically no build. You'll recall they didn't even tell us the champion's name last week on TV until the end of the show. And
Mercedes gear, a tribute to Stephanie Vicaire.
I didn't even notice. That was the one thing
that's a totally joke about the cut of it. But
I was watching this match though and thinking, man, how good would this be if Stephanie Vicaire was still the CMLL Women's Champion? That's all I was thinking about. While this was going on. Like, it's too bad. I mean, not to say like, because it's great for Stephanie. She's a big star now, and and she's one of the hottest things in WWE. But and that doesn't mean she should have stayed in Mexico for another year so she could lose on TV to Mercedes. But it was fine. But Mercedes has got another belt. It's funny because she's still doing the belt collector gimmick, even though she lost the New Japan belt. And I thought, okay, well, now she's going to start losing these belts, and she's won 2 more since then. So, yeah, but she's great. I love her. I know you're a big fan of her.
Oh God, I am. She's so good. She gets the moments. Like she gets when she's supposed to kind of turn on the theater kid stuff versus when she's supposed to turn on I'm the wrestler type stuff. I mean, she's smooth. She makes everybody look like $1 million. I love her. I do, but continue. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Curry had to ask. I'm wondering if he's listening. Did you really care for this match? We kind of just said we didn't. I
thought it was fine. I wasn't that.
Yeah,
I think they could have had Zeuxis lay it in a little bit more on her, because I think that was what was getting over for the match versus well-timed choreographed spots, because like when she was like kicking the crap out of Mercedes, and that was starting to get the crowd going. I think they just kind of, there's this weird thing in wrestling where it's like we have to do these weird choreographed armbar reversal blah blah blah, when it's just like, hey,
well, even more so in Mexico with Lucha Libre.
Yes. So you didn't need to do Lucha Libre. Do Vader versus Mercedes here, but with Vader as a babyface.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, if you didn't see this match, like Zeuxis is, she's a bigger woman than Mercedes. So they could.
Yeah, she has more size than. She definitely has more size than Mercedes, who is tiny.
Yeah. So this almost came off like it was just a backdrop for the angle that they were going to do after. So they they send down the streamers. Like Mercedes won with she hit it was almost like a power slam and kind of got the pin. It was kind of out of nowhere, like the finish too. That's another reason why I thought they might have had their time cut. But after the match, the streamers went down. Aubrey puts the title around her waist. She holds up all her belts and she's posing. And then they played a black and white video of Toni Storm in a trench coat. I guess people said she looked like Carmen Sandiego.
When it came into color, it was because that was definitely Carmen Sandiego. I was
thinking like Humphrey Bogart at first.
Well, I was thinking, and this might be a deep cut for people who are not film buffs, I was thinking Orson Welles in The Third Man.
Okay, I haven't seen that,
but I think they were just kind of doing generic noir.
Yeah, because to me it was like Humphrey Bogart's character in Casablanca.
A bit.
Yeah.
Maybe even the Maltese Falcon.
Yeah. I've seen that. Yeah, I can see that too. So then the video stops, and then we hear this big pop, and I think the pop was for Toni, who wasn't on camera, but I think the people saw her coming through the crowd. But then we have a wide shot of the stage, and someone comes out, and from the wide shot, you can't tell who it is.
No.
And the people in the building had no idea because they didn't put it on the screen. They never put it on the screen. So at no point did the people in the building know that it was Mina Shirakawa. But then then we did a close up and we could see it was Mina Shirakawa. And they should have played her music, honestly. But they didn't. So she's there, and that was a distraction for Mercedes. So she's holding up her belts and taunting Mina, and that allows Toni to come in from behind, and she snuck in. And as you said, Mercedes, perfect timing. She realized there was someone behind her, turned around.
This was such WWE school, and Mercedes. Mercedes is kind of doing. And I love her to death when she used to do these angles. The Alexa Bliss school of rubber face here.
Yeah.
where she just, I mean, she's playing to the back of the room, but it gets over because it's the appropriate reaction for what's happening. So I thought, this was phenomenal.
Yeah, she grabs her from behind. She gives her a German suplex. All the belts go flying.
And that spot looked visually stunning, I thought, because amongst
perfect.
And did the streamers come down from Mercedes, or did they hit when she hit the suplex?
No, they came down when she won the titles.
Okay, but, I didn't
yeah.
put two and two together because I was kind of half watching.
But then when she got suplexed into them, all of a sudden she's covered in streamers.
She has the belts. She throws them as she's getting thrown out, and then she kind of grabs streamers as she's going in. It was so good.
Yeah, and then she bails. And Tony said, "Let the games begin." And she rolled around on the ramp and looked exactly like Mariah looked when she got laid out on NXT last night.
Yes,
they have the exact same pose. So yeah, this was great. I really want this to headline All In, but it can't. But I really love what these women are doing.
I like it. I still think, no offense, I think the Tony Storm character is still too silly. I do, to headline a major show. I get that people love it and it's over, but it's too silly to put on top unless they decide to get her out of it and she becomes hardcore, because the CEO character is a flake, and it's a great flake type of thing, but she can still be considered a top heel.
Mm-hmm.
Tony's playing a character, so it's one of those things. It's like it's one of those things where it's like it doesn't work for me because Tony can never cut the promo to get you there. She's gonna cut like
she did against Mariah,
kind of. But I mean, she's gonna stick to her comedy double entendres stuff. So yeah,
Tony. I mean, Fernando says Timeless is the best character in wrestling today. A lot of people feel that way. I disagree for my own tastes, but I will not argue that she is super over and the fans are behind her. So in that sense, the character works on that level.
I'm not denying that it works. I'm just saying, I'm saying it can't headline to me.
Or not your your best.
Not your biggest, not your WrestleMania
level. It could headline like Full Gear or
it could headline a big four other than All In, or a B pay-per-view. But yes, I mean,
I honestly thought they could have headlined Double or Nothing with one of the women's matches. They didn't, and that's fine. But this match could have headlined Double or Nothing for sure.
Hold on. Let me put one coda on here as well.
Okay.
I love Mercedes, but I don't think there is a weird disconnect between belt collector and kind of her character and how she plays it. Like she should be, at this point, she should be just a monster in terms of how great she is and kind of being a badass. Like she can run through people. Look at how many belts I got, kind of a thing, as opposed to kind of the flaky CEO character. But this is quibbling. We'll go on to your thing now.
What thing?
The next match or whatever.
Okay. Well, the next match is the main event.
This could headline.
The next match is the main event. So it was a 10-man tag, and I guess Claudio also couldn't make it to Mexico for some reason. So substituting in for Claudio Castagnoli was the Beast Mortos, who has been in the news this week for a couple of reasons. Number one,
and both are kind of interesting to me. I'm kind of like, all right. Apparently,
Beast Mortos. Remember that stupid angle he was doing with the Kingdom?
When he was Frank
B. Mortos, attorney at law. Apparently, that's a shoot.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like I had friends who went to foreign countries to become doctors because the licensing wasn't so stringent. Yes, he is an attorney, which makes him an eternal heel. Although I am in the middle of a week where I wish I could have stuck through law school, to be honest with you, because I'd know more. But
maybe you can hire Frank.
Does Frank know medical malpractice law? Give me a call.
I don't know. And as well as becoming a lawyer, he is apparently dating one Mercedes Mone.
Mercedes Mone, and I just kind of go, huh? Because like on Wrestling Observer, they're talking about this, and they're like, under that mask, Beast Mordos is a handsome dude, and I was like, no way.
Well, the thing is, okay, whether or not he's handsome, he's kind of a big guy.
No, he's a big dude. He's beefy.
Yeah, and so him and Mercedes, I mean, whatever.
Mercedes has some proclivity tastes that she likes in her.
Well,
men.
Mercedes was watching Becky cut that promo on Lyra and her weird little fiance, and says, "Hold my beer."
Well, Mercedes is also a amalgam of various ethnicities, and
true, yeah.
Hey,
happy for them. Happy for them.
No, I am. I do not root against people. I root for love. So, more Mazel tov. Yeah. I'm here for like little beast Mercedes kids wearing masks and stuff, and yes. Okay, move on. Let's move on.
Korean says, "Beast Mordos is my hero. Us big men can get a hot woman." That big man, anyways.
Yeah, he's charming, apparently.
Yeah.
Not so much.
Yeah. So, and apparently this was his first match in Arena Mexico in like 12 years because he was a triple guy. So,
okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if Mercedes had anything to do with it, but if she did, good. And if she didn't, oh well.
Although, so, yeah. Now that you say that, it's a
could have put anyone on the roster on this match.
No, but it must have been exciting for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just to backtrack a little bit, I loved the stories of the guys. It's like, oh, he worked the independents in Mexico and worked on the streets, and he never could get to here until now. It's like, oh, great, that's cool. I can dig with that.
It's kind of like
it's like playing Carnegie if you've only played, small clubs or even like the Comedy Store and whatnot. So
it's kind of like if you like in AEW and then you go to WWE and you get to work like MSG or even like WrestleMania, like that's kind of what this is.
So. Oh, you're just asking for people to come after you with that comment. Let's go.
What do you mean? No, there's nothing wrong with that.
Are you saying that WWE is the major leagues compared to AEW?
Yeah. Okay. Are you saying the sky is blue?
There's
all right.
One to the Performance Center. How dare you?
Oh God. Yeah, anybody that says the PC doesn't work, watch a Chad Gable match and get back to me. AEW World Champion. So the teams were Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, Beast Mordos, and the Bucks against Will Ospreay, who up until this point I had completely forgotten was going to be on this show. Swerve, Samoa Joe, Katsuyori Shibata, and Powerhouse Hobbs. So it's 10-man tag main event, and Ospreay was super over. Mm-hmm. All the babyface. Well, I shouldn't say all the babyface. Swerve, Ospreay, and Joe were all like.
I thought. Oh, hold on. I thought Shibata was more over than Swerve, but okay.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't really notice, but I'll take your word for it.
It might be my stereo setup too, but like when they tagged in Shibata, he got a huge pop.
This might have been his first time at Arena Mexico, so that could be, and he's a legend.
Really?
I don't know. I'm just saying it might have been. They did say it was Joe's. I'm pretty sure it was Ospreay's. I don't know about the Bucks.
The younger Shibata spent only a very short time in Mexico in the early 2000s. Shibata was in Monterrey,
and they wouldn't have necessarily always got to work Arena Mexico if you're young.
No, that's true. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll take your word for it. But what I will say is Swerve and Ospreay worked great together. They had awesome chemistry. They were doing double team moves. They were saving each other. And I'm watching this match and thinking, man, in a perfect world with some like long-term planning, the Bucks would be the tag team champions and Ospreay and Swerve would be challenging them at All In.
And I don't know if they put this up because this would be, because I was only half-ass paying attention, kind of. Admittedly on this match, and I was enjoying it, don't get me wrong, but I wasn't paying attention to the commentary.
Okay.
Did they mention how well they were working together?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
They mentioned they had amazing chemistry.
That again, plot point. Got to put that on there. Okay, cool.
Because it seems like what we are going to get that match at All In. It's going to be the Young Bucks against we're going to get the Young Bucks against Swerve and Ospreay. And then in another tag team match, we're going to get the Hurt Syndicate against Airspeed. And that match is going to be for the tag team titles, which is a little off. But
Yes.
It's transferring heat. I'm gonna save your comment for after the main event, because I want to talk about that. And also transferring heat. Do some thinking. You got to come up with a Dynamite for us to review, because you put us over the edge on Super Chat. So if you don't, I'm just gonna put a poll on Twitter. So anyways, they had this match and it was fun. It was a party match. I don't have a, the most notable thing about this match was the chemistry between Swerve and Ospreay, and the Bucks were, doing a lot of cool double team moves, and the fans seemed to recognize and we're into the Bucks, even though they're heels. Like, they were booing them, but I think they were just happy to see them. And so the Bucks, they cut off a Swerve stomp attempt. Shafir distracted the ref. Strickland got shoved off the top rope. Moxley rolled him up and got the pin by pulling the tights, and the crowd did not like that finish.
You know what? It was. This is a weird thing, but they did Americanized finishes.
Other than the MJF one.
Is there ball shots and throwing the?
Oh yeah, that's huge in Mexico.
A DQ. Okay.
Oh yeah. That's
Ugly American. Don't watch a lot of.
And we don't really see that. You almost never see that in America.
All of my Mexican wrestling was watched in the mid to late 90s when I lived in, when I was watching, the Sábado Domingo. When I was watching the 4-hour block on Saturdays on Univision and not understanding.
Okay, fair enough.
But, although I did watch, what is it, Kalo Mito versus K-Manita.
Kenamito and Kalo Mito, yeah, the two.
Yes.
The two furry monkeys.
Yes, that's our Vader Club match this week on Shake.
Oh, nice. I love those two. So yeah, it was Moxley got the pin, which, I mean, he should. They're setting up. I mean, it's Hangman should have been in this match, but I guess they were trying to save that. So after the match, Yuta and Mordos were beating down on Joe at ringside. Bucks were holding everyone off. Moxley's beating up Strickland. And Hangman's music hits, and he comes down, and he stared down Moxley. So technically, he saved Swerve, although his thing was he wasn't there to save Swerve; he was there to get his hands on Moxley.
They were putting it over on commentary as saving Swerve, so it's
right. But I think his thing will be, I wasn't there to save you. I wanted to get my hands on Moxley.
Now we're gonna get that's gonna be the I don't know if I can trust you. Let me backtrack a bit for a plot point, or not a plot point, but a point I kind of made on Twitter earlier today, but they did a kind of homage to it. The Nana LA Park inspired gear that he was wearing. He was wearing like the skeleton suit. Nana.
Who was that? Oh, Nana. Okay.
Was wearing like that. Oh, you didn't? Okay. It was full. And I've said for a long time, the American company that puts LA Park, La Parka, or some version on there to do that dopey dance and hit somebody with a chair, that one wins. That company wins.
I'm surprised it wasn't on the AAA show. Maybe it's coming. I think he's a AAA guy. I'm not positive. He's
going to save Mr. Iguana at some point.
That Mr. Iguana origin story was amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. So he comes down. Page went for a buckshot on Moxley. He dodged. Page hit Matthew instead. Moxley was about to use the briefcase, and then he bailed because he realized that he was outnumbered. And everyone stood united, which was cool. So it was all the baby faces in the ring, and I'm looking, and I realized, okay, you got Hangman there, you got the Ops, and you got Ospreay. Where's Swerve? And then I realized Swerve was in the corner, so he wasn't standing tall with the rest of the other baby faces. So I thought that was a nice little touch. And then eventually he leaves, and he just walks right past the Bucks and rejoins the Ops and Ospreay and Strickland. So at the end of the show, he's standing with Strickland. But and so they're making it very clear he's not with the Bucks, and he is kind of with Strickland. So I don't know.
How does Hook feel about the Ops these days?
I don't know. He hit somebody with a golf club, and then he disappeared again. So
yes,
yeah, I don't know if he's going to talk about it when we see him in NXT, but maybe he will. I I do think that that's the next. I'm wondering that about Harley too, to be honest. But definitely Hook, I think, is maybe not going to be long for this AEW world. And I've seen a lot of people that don't seem to be too upset about that either. Private Party's another one who apparently might be WWE bound at some point. Did you see that this week?
Yeah. He has interest or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I see that one headline. It was a joke, but it was AEW or Chris Jericho has agreed to re-sign with AEW, and then underneath it's like AEW has not agreed to this. I thought that was funny. It was a joke post by like Wrestle Ops or something. So that was a show, and then I guess they did they were taping some ROH stuff for Global Wars. I'm not sure when that's airing. I'm not sure if it's tomorrow or they'll do a special show. They did last time. They did a special show like the following Monday, but put up this on the screen. Bryan Danielson made his return on the ROH show, helping Blue Demon, and he hit a running knee. So not only was he there, which we knew he was there, he was shown in the crowd yesterday on the combined AEW CMLL show, but he did some physical stuff tonight on the show, so that's interesting.
He wanted to work Arena Mexico.
Well, I think he did. He worked against Blue Panther.
Yes, he did. Yeah, and that's why he wanted to do it. He wanted to do that.
Okay. Yeah, so that's cool. Thanks for pointing that out. Transferring heat, and so you can send if you don't get it into this chat, send me a DM at Paul Ace Fontaine or PAFON at MTS.net. You can send to that, and I'll keep it. And Jeff and I will review it at some point in the next few weeks. I put it up on the screen here. PAFON at MTS.net if you want to write it down. Super easy email address. So that was the show. I thought it was a good show. As we're 3 weeks from All In. The funny thing is, like, I'm kind of starting to get into the idea of this pay-per-view, and July 12th is going to be like a huge day. We got that All In show. We got like 2 WWE shows and Goldberg going for the world title, and probably going to get Blake Monroe's WWE debut. Oh, here we go. January 8th, 2019, the 1-year anniversary show? What are you talking about? What? They hadn't even debuted yet. Do you mean you got to double check that date there, Transfer and Heat. If you want the 1-year anniversary show, it would be like October 2020, right? Or double check the date on this one, because I don't think there was a Dynamite on January 8th, 2019. But if you want us to review it, it'll be pretty easy. Let me double check. What day of the week was January 8th, 2019? It was a Tuesday. So what about 2020? That was a Wednesday. So maybe, is that what he means? That would be like 2 weeks after the last one we reviewed.
Just point me to where I need to go, guys.
All right. Figure it out. Send me an email. And sorry you were late, Maria. We did a show. You can go back and listen on the Fight Game Media audio feed, or it'll be up on YouTube.
No, we now need to start the show over and go through everything again.
Here's a quick summary. Crowd was awesome. MJF Mistico was like the best thing on AEW TV all year. Wasn't quite as good as Grand Slam Australia. It was a pretty damn good show. That was the quick and dirty highlights of the show. And Jeff didn't like it as much as I did. Right?
Dislike is a.
I didn't say you disliked it. I just said you didn't like it as much as I did.
I did write you at one point. Go. There's no point to this show, and it's only for Dave Meltzer.
Like, you'd probably give it like a 7 out of 10, and I might go like 8.
6 or 7. Yeah,
and I go 8. So there you go.
I didn't think it was bad. It's also not. It's not my form of what I want a weekly wrestling show to be. It was bangers, and it's fine.
Yeah. And Logan is happy that Mercedes has 6 belts, and he wants to see her win the IWGP Women's Championship. Well, maybe we'll see that. That's all. Okay, January 8th, 2020. Yeah, we can do that. We did December 18th, 2019, not too long ago. So this will be just after that. So that's cool. We'll do that. I think I remember that being a good show. So January 8th, 2020. We will let you know next week when we'll be reviewing it. It'll probably be before the end of the month. But I was saying July 12th is going to be a big day. And I'm probably not going to be able to watch any of those shows because that's the day we start our road trip. So it's weird. I'm getting hyped up for shows that I may not end up watching. I'll probably watch the WWE ones because they're on Netflix and they're easy to watch. But I don't know if I'm going to pay $50 for a pay-per-view that I'm not going to be able to watch for like 2 weeks after it airs. Maybe I will. I don't know. Yeah, Maria says Mercedes might win 7 belts. No, we're going to do this one. We're going to do it. January 8th, 2020. I like it. I like it.
I'll find it.
We will do it. And yeah, Jeff's going to find it. I think it might be on Max.
Or the Internet Archive, one of the two.
Yeah, one of the two. I got it on Triller, so I'm good. All right. So, Jeff, let's get your plugs in.
As we celebrate the United States once again vanquishing Canada in the Stanley Cup.
Fuck you. Pardon my friend.
We do shake them ropes this week. I don't know. Is any news going to drop? We'll see. And then, yes, for Vader Club, I went with Unrepentant Stupidity because I love these guys. K-Manito versus nice. K-Malito. Is that how you say the other one?
I think so.
I know K-Manito I love, but I just, everybody gets so haughty about their
I got to
taste.
scroll through my DMs. I have one from somebody in AEW tonight that was on the show, and then I'll just scroll below that and see yours. Kemalito and Kemanito. There you go.
Thank you.
You're correct.
There we go. And yes, and if there's any news that drops, we'll talk about that. We'll see what Nova Brino wants to talk about. That will drop later this week.
All right. Yeah, I think you're right. Sideswipe. It is the first live Dynamite after the last one we reviewed. That's cool. That's fine. That's all right.
All right.
1993 Korea. Freaking 1993.
Never will they win it again. It is ours now. We own you.
I was 22 the last time the Canadian team won a Stanley Cup, and I am now a grandfather with an 8-year-old grandson. So it's been a while. And me, I will be, I think, back on Monday with the takedown with Garrett, although I'm not sure. I know he's doing a road trip at some point soon, so we may be skipping a week. But either way, stay tuned. We'll let you know. Subscribe to this channel, and you'll be notified when next time we have a show. So for Jeff Hawkins, I've been Paul Fontaine, and this has been The Dynamite Show.
Speaking of takedown,